Hello everyone, this is Tom Vogel, wrestling's finest PC pro wrestling game, and today what I'm going to show you on a video are some of the new features on our version 3, which will be released here very soon, just tying up some loose ends. My previous video I did on version 3 was just a quick overview, giving you a little look at the new game screen, and today we're going to tackle the visual changes to Wrestling's Finest. There's a lot of pretty cool new things that I think people are really going to enjoy, the new look and the simplifying of a lot of things. So here's where, when you first launch your game, you get our opening screen here, and you'll notice first thing is the new logo that Gary was able to come up with, and I really like it. It's a very crisp picture. I like the shade of everything, and it looks good. Now, if you're like most people, when you get to this screen, you're going to click OK right away. However, wouldn't mind if you would take, on your leisure, take a couple minutes to look at some of the new wrestling posters, maybe some wrestling articles in there, and then a few classic pictures. We upped the number of things in there. I think their bluish one there is a new one, but added a few classic pictures. And if you let it scroll long enough, I won't go too long here, but you'll get to see hopefully a couple of the newer ones that were added. One of them is Jimmy Snuka getting ready to jump from the top of the cage onto Bob Backlund, kind of a legendary picture from Madison Square Garden. There's the Gordon Sully Roddy Piper one that was added. I also added, I believe there it is, the Ric Flair Harley Race shaking hands at ringside at one of Harley Race's last appearances. So anyway, just some new stuff there I wanted to point out. So we're going to click OK. So once we click OK, as usual, in the older version of the game, we get to what I call the game screen. And I showed this the other day, and we're going to go over this in great detail in just a couple minutes here. But first we're going to go start a new singles match. And so we come down here just like before, and you'll see here this is less cluttered, and we're going to go over each one of these here. But first thing I want you to notice is in the middle is the match type. And what we did was we put them kind of in order of what we think they might be used, and then we just went alphabetical. So if you click the question mark, it's going to give you a brief little summary of each of the specialty, or actually every match in there. So that's kind of a helpful deal. But for now we're going to go the classic, but I will show you this. We have the grudge match, or the Vendetta. Wrestlers of Vendetta is our old grudge match. Then we added a grudge match. The other thing we added were 3 TV matches. Studio, which is the timing method. Main event, 15-minute main event, and then we have a match remaining time, and I'll be going through these in a future video. We also have a big man match, which we have a new file of big man wrestlers that we'll be going into that. It's just all it changes is the timing. Then down a little farther we have the tape fist, which is a pretty good new addition, and that uses its own outside ring chart, as does the TV matches. Then we have lights out, no DQ, lights out, cage, and again we'll be going through those in greater detail on another video. So for now, let's just go classic match style. Now, one of the points of emphasis on this version 3 update was I wanted to make the title matches stand out just a little bit more, make them maybe just a tad more special. So as you'll see up here, the title match, world title match, there is definite separation of those. One of them is we still have to defend the title chart that only a heel can use, but now we have it both for a title match, a separate one, and a different outside ring chart for world title, making the world title, just giving the world champion just a little bit more advantage than if it was a regular title match. So here's same here. You pick the wrestler set you want to use. So let me get them both down to the masters, and let me just, so I don't have to look at Tank twice here. In fact, I'm going to put up my two favorites, one I always use when I play test, Brian Adias and Chris Adams from World Class. But so now the change you'll see here should be immediate, is you see their stamina, their pin rating, and their overall rating in the game. So kind of gives you a neat little guide. You're still able to view their cards just like before, but like I said, this is kind of a neat little summary Gary added in just for kind of a reference. Maybe you're trying to figure out which version of a guy you might want to use. Then we will have here the managers. And then a new feature here is when you go down to select a manager, say you're going to select Baby Doll as a valet, it will give you her interference rating from 1 to 5, meaning how often she'll interfere. That's, I think I said from 1 to 5. Now what you can also do here is you can view card, and if you'll notice on your old game, each one of these manager results in this section was a real specific result. It might be, wrestler or manager distracts opponent, which allows wrestler to sneak attack him, take 15 off. We still have that result, but now it's user, like valet, uses her female wiles to distract opponent and gets in several shots, minus 15 to opponent stamina. And each one of these now has their own text file. Took a lot of work, but so for example, if valet gets some cheap shots in, when this comes up, text file, and there's probably, 10 or 15 different text files will come up, and when we do text files, we'll really get into this a lot deeper. So let's just click out of this for now. So here's Bobby Heenan. Interference rating is 5, means he'll get involved more often. But here, manager uses expertise and ability to motivate wrestler. This results in causing minus 25 to opponent stamina. So if this was to come off of Bobby Heenan's card, you'll get, again, maybe around 10 different text files or text sayings that will give you the results. So I think you're going to really like those, but it's nice now to be able to look at a manager's card if you're trying to figure out which one to use. Thing that will future be added is bio for managers. So that will be upcoming here once we get our other bios done. So let's exit out of this. So once let's just say we go down here, and I'll again pick Baby Doll just so we have a couple pictures. One thing that prior to that, the new logo, crown logo, is also a little different for the rest for the. So there's the new crown logo that Gary also changed, kind of cleaned that up, looks pretty nice. So for now, let me just throw Bobby Heenan in here so we have a picture there to go. So you still select your wrestler however you were used to. You still select your manager. Like I said, now you can view the manager's card. Now, let's look here in the middle, because these three things are rarely, I shouldn't say rarely, but aren't going to get used a lot. Scientific style match, 2 out of 3 fall match, set no disclosure. No disclosure is a very, very underrated feature in the game that I've been using more lately. It's where stamina, pin, everything's blacked out when you run the match. So you really are kind of wrestling blind, which is kind of more realistic because you don't know where your stamina is, you don't know where your opponent's is. It's a very kind of a realistic way to do it. So I'd encourage you all to give it a shot. It's definitely different. It takes a little bit of getting used to. But so for the wrestlers, if you check champion, and like let's do this way, you can select either or both wrestlers to be champion. So let's say for Brian Diaz, we're going to let computer control him. He's face. He's a face. Remember, we still have the, do you want a normal, half, or never, meaning not how often a pre-match will occur, but how often the wrestler will want to try it. Just because he wants to try it doesn't mean it's necessarily going to occur. Typically in championship matches, I keep it at never unless you have a real wild challenger or possibly champion. I might keep it at normal, but I just hate to have something backfire on either one before a match, especially the champion. So let's just, for now though, we'll keep it normal. Let's say I want to make Chris Adams champion. Now, if I want the computer to control him, here's something we're going to be talking a lot about, our default settings, because in the past there were a lot of situations where you had to make a lot of choices for one or both wrestlers. Well, if you click champion and you click computer controls wrestler, you'll see heel, but actually what will occur is it will be heel champion setting. And if you're thinking what's a big deal, it is a big deal because the champion's going to make different decisions, including his pre-match and including his outside help, and maybe the intentionally get counted out of ring. So if you choose, like I said, if you choose a face champion, then it will automatically use the face champion too. If, for example, here, let's say you wanted to make him a tweener and you forgot to check tweener champion, it will automatically go to tweener champion because you click champion. So the defaults have really, like I said, been changed, and I think will make it much easier. You won't have to worry about forgetting stuff. Now, let's go up here, and we will keep it just as a title match, but we're going to go defend the title, and that can only be selected by a heel. So on this screen here, there's, I think it's going to make it a lot clearer and again a lot easier because you're not going to have to remember settings because we have so many based on the match, and if champion is selected or not selected, it's going to trigger all kinds of default settings that kick in. I know people have said, I love playing the game, I love the computer opponent, but a lot of times I get the match started and I forgot something, and my counter always was, well, slow down. However, I do realize as the game has progressed and we've added more features, the selections we have to make are more numerous and they're in different places you have to make them. So Gary and I really made a great effort, and we think we did pretty well with this. In fact, I think we did a darn good job to make the defaults not only the way they should be, but to make them cover so many different situations. So I've saved what I think is the best for last, set time limit. This used to be on the main game screen, and a lot of people I know would forget it. So here's how it works. It's pretty nifty. Hit set time limit. You'll notice it's an entirely new background, and it's not a pull down menu. You got no time limit, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 45, 60. So you have all your choices. So let's say we're going to make this one title match. Let's just make it 60. One thing I did a lot, and Gary and I were laughing because it sounds like we both would do it, when the box was the same color as the background here, what would happen is I would slide down and click OK here. And you can't. You got to click it up here. So Gary made this really stand out, so now you can't screw it up. You click OK, but then look at here, 60 minutes right there. Underneath, you're set, you're ready to go. Now, we're going to click OK, and this is going to take us back to the main screen. Right away, choose which wrestler is defending the title, and since we only click Chris Adams, of course he's the only option, but had we made Brian Diaz the champion, you would not have seen this box because a face cannot, should not, and now he's unable to use defend the title because the results off the defend the title would just make me cringe if they happened with a face, because they're heel tendencies and a face would never, and I do mean the word never, would never do them. So what you're going to do here is you're going to click Chris Adams and you're going to click accept. This now means he will be using the defend the title chart. Okay, now that we're back at the main game screen, going to walk through a few things here. And first of all, we talked about this in my first video I did, the quick overview, Tale of the Match. I think you guys are going to love this. Not really going to get in debates what went in and what didn't go in, because I debated it to death with Herman and John and then Gary, and we really like the ones in here. And some of these are still recorded under statistics, but it's really nice to know during the match, and that's why we picked these 6 things. I did not want to use successful holds, because typically that's what gamers look at and say, oh, he did 23 successful holds, this other guy only did 14. Well, unless you do a per move stamina breakdown, which I'm not really interested in, the number of successful holds really doesn't matter. Example, Lou Thesz takes on, say, take a big power wrestler. So let's say it's Ultimate Warrior. Warrior is going to naturally, more than likely, have a lot less successful holds than Lou Thesz. However, the stamina off is going to be a lot more because he has so many, body slams, power moves, suplexes. He is just going to be a guy that, takes off a lot more stamina than somebody like Lou Thesz, but Thesz, being the better wrestler, will more than likely have more successful holds. Because keep in mind, when you're in control, now what do you do when you're in control? Do you have a successful hold? Do you have an auto control loss? Does nothing occur? Does fan interaction come into play? And remember, they're all up in statistics, and we are limited in space here, because we also wanted to get in this, the recent match results. Sorry, I had to do a quick pause there. I wanted to make the screen a little bigger here so you could see all the cool old arenas. We're going to go into that here in a little bit too. That's why we had to limit how many things we could add in here. And Herman is even a bigger defender or argumentative of how the control factors, in his opinion, even possibly more than the pin rating, is the most important rating in the game, because if you're in control, you, meaning the wrestler, dictates the action. And what's nice about this, as your match runs, you'll see this score or tail of the match will accumulate as you go, and it's just a really cool feature. If Gary decided to take that away, I would be really, really disappointed, because I love it. Second thing on this screen here, the last 5 results. Now here it's blank, but in my opening video, I had Steve Austin and Ric Flair, and they had match results. But if you click this, what will come up, it will give you his total matches, wins, losses, and draws, which will equal his total matches. Then it will list his last 5 matches. And when we run a matches later on, you'll see how this works. But it's really just a great little glimpse of how the wrestlers performed in the last 5. And Herman came up with this idea a long time ago, and him and I had a little different, I think we had different views how we wanted to go, but we're both very, very happy with this. I actually kind of borrowed this from Pro Bull Rider, because a lot of times they'd put up on the screen, last 5 outs, and you're like, wouldn't that be cool for wrestling with Herman's idea? So, love that feature too. Next thing I want to show you here is the wrestler's name. No longer do we have that big white box. It's just all very nicely set with the manager, and if you have a nickname, it drops in right here. It doesn't sit outside of that white box. So very, very nice there. The other thing you're going to notice is the fast action card is gone. It's not gone. You can turn it on and off. No offense to anybody out there, but there's probably only 3 or 4 people that I could honestly believe would know how to trace action with the fast action cards. I know Herman could, Ed could, and John could, and after that, I don't know. You have to really know the game engine inside and out. So you can shut it off when the game starts. if you have your fast action card option turned on, the fast action card will appear. All you have to do is click anywhere outside the box and it will disappear, but it will still be, you can still pull it up if you want to. If you want to say, how did that occur? And if you know the game well enough, and I, underrated people that knew it, my apologies, but I'll still stand on my statement. Most people wouldn't know what to do with the cards anyway. That being said, the text box is quite a bit larger. The other thing I want to show you here, we're going to start this match. I'm going to show you what is really cool. Probably should have picked a couple different wrestlers, but you'll get to see the impact of it. Before I do that, though, I want to show you a feature here that this is pretty cool here. I think most of you are going to love this. Trade hold recommendations. Now, in this case, Brian Adias didn't get any suggestions. Chris Adams had speed hold to arm hold. If you look at this, this is a pretty tricky formula we put in a long time ago, because here if you go down to his speed moves, wherever it's at, he has a 3.24% chance that he's going to do that move, and there's a 40% chance it will be countered, and his success rate is only 1.94. So that's one of the reasons it's saying trade out of this, because it has a lot to do with how often he does the hold. Now keep in mind, a lot of these holds are blocked from even being traded to or out of. So you might say, well, why not trade out of submissions? Because he has a 5.88, his success rate's 4.7, which is actually pretty good. That's a bad example. But you might find one under here where you're thinking, well, okay, why would I trade out of that hold? Well, just keep in mind, some of these are blocked from even being traded. But here's what I want to talk about. Click Trade Moves. I think you're going to love this. All you have to do is click OK, and the move is automatically traded. So let's say he had all three, there were 3 suggestions. You would then have, all you'd have to do is click OK. For now, I'm going to click Cancel and Done. Okay, I cheated here. I went and chose 2 different wrestlers, Ted DiBiase as a face, and King Kong Bundy as a heel. One thing on the pictures, when we go through these videos, I have not transferred my old pictures over, so we might not have as many pictures, and they might be mismatched, meaning that won't be the Ted DiBiase face picture that goes in the game. But anyway, I wanted to show you this feature here. So if you click Trade Hold Recommendations, for this one, here's the difference here. Ted DiBiase has these 3 choices: suplex, body slam, and ropes. This is what the game is dictating. One thing that we didn't change, because it's just really, really complicated and hard, and we were afraid it might trigger other bugs to pop up, is I don't always agree. In fact, most of the time I don't agree with ropes. So in this case, I think what I would probably do is trade out of throws and drags instead of ropes, and I'll still go to punches. But I'm going to show you how this works now. So you click Trade Moves. There's none for Bundy suggested. So here are the 3 are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go throw drags, and then I'm going to go punches here. Now, let's say I had kept the ropes. In fact, let's do it that way. Let's go cancel. Now we're going to go trade moves again. Let's say you accepted all 3 of these. Instead of you having as the gamer to go in and change them like we used to, all you do is click OK. Boom. Moves traded. Done. That simple. So, incredible feature. That's actually been in there a long time now. That was probably about 2.5 years ago that was put in, so I'm kind of used to it and very spoiled. But I think you're going to like it because, again, if you don't agree with the hold like I did, you can always just go in and change it to your own. Or if you're really into this, like Herman says we should do, is partway through the match, you can always go back in and trade back to your holds or trade to something else if you think your opponent's wore down enough. So, anyway, I wanted to point that out, the trading of the holds. Now, you'll see We have Ted DiBiase 81 plus. So I want you to watch this here as we get started. There's your matchup analysis. Here's the match information. This is a real neat feature Gary put on. It gives you a summary of each guy, each wrestler. Then it tells you the match type, the date, the time limit we set. And you also see it up here, 60 minutes. You'll see King Kong Bundy is computer controlled. Type is heel champion. And you also notice up here champion heel. And if it's a world title, you're going to see world champion. Again, we want to really make the title matches stand out. Ted DiBiase being a face, here's one of the defaults. Tourney DQ rule is on. And what did I do? Absolutely nothing. It automatically chooses tourney DQ rules for a face challenger. Now somebody might say, but didn't at one point you say face wrestlers in title matches got DQ'd more often than we thought? Very true, but keep in mind this is a different tourney DQ rules. You do get 10 off your range, but now your DQ rating does not get adjusted. Meaning, if you pass that range test, even with that minus 10, and I'll probably demonstrate that in a video. Now when you go to the DQ chart, if your DQ rating was, say, 5-3, you're still going to use the 3, but now it's not reduced to 1, which meant DQs were almost impossible. Now you're still using the 3. That was the compromise, and we've done a lot of play testing. Can't tell you how many Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair, or Harley Race matches I did. I am so sick, can't believe I'm going to say it, all 3 of them, just to see how often Big Dust was disqualified, and he still got disqualified a very accurate number. So, both are going to use DQ reduction. That's always been that way. And King Kong Bundy is defending the title. Now, you'll see some of this up here. Champion heel, your 60 minutes, title match, defend the title. So, here's your summary to start. I'm going to push click, and let's see what happens here. Right here, you should be able to see a big difference, and it's really going to pop during tag teams. And what it is, so you don't have to sit there and wonder. See how Ted DiBiase is 81 plus in parentheses? We have a lot of wrestlers that are that way because we have to distinguish between when they're rated for. And I know Gary was not thrilled we did that. He understands why, because it messed up pictures and it just caused some aggravation in his world a little bit. But what he has done now, and we'll see it in the tag team. If I have time, I'm really rambling here, but I'm having fun. So if you don't like it, you can always either pause and fast forward for later or what. But there's no 81 plus after Ted DiBiase now. It's just Ted DiBiase. Now, King Kong Bundy doesn't have anything after his name, so it's nothing. But let's say there was an 81 plus there, you wouldn't see it. So you notice how much clearer all this text is. Now, tag teams are just so much nicer. Instead of saying the Freebirds and then in parentheses Terry Gordy, Buddy Roberts, all you're going to see is the Freebirds. Now, you're never going to not know what combination you have in there because the name will always still show it. So Gary gave us best of both worlds. You still know exactly who you chose, the DiBiase 81 plus, but in the text box, you drop the 81. And guys, I'm going to tell you, you're going to love this. John, Bob, and I are just thrilled with it. And it just makes your text box look cleaner, more professional. Great job by Gary on that. If he was here, I'd buy him a Blue Moon or iced tea, whatever he drinks. So anyway, now, what I want to show next here is let's just try to get a pin deal here. So just bear with me. I don't want to pause you. I'm just clicking through. We have actions happening for defend the title. King Kong Bundy tries to go. Oh, this is kind of cool. This came up. Ally of King Kong Bundy, who has been watching the match from ringside, enters the ring, and when the referee goes down hard, Ted DiBiase's ally suddenly hits the ring and a wild brawl takes place just as the referee comes to. the match is declared a double DQ. Double DQ at 5:51. Now, didn't know you're going to see this one, but Ted DiBiase may have come close to winning the title, but close ain't going to get it done. King Kong Bundy lives to fight another day as the champion. Now that text is also right here. So we're going to click done out of this, but again, I liked how Gary put the logo in and the nice green background. So we're going to click done here. Now you'll notice here how now they each have one result in there. And if you click it, it cleans it up a little bit, so it's not like in two different lines. It's all in one. So now the other thing here, I talked about this a little bit during the preview video. You have a 2.5 star rating. It's a fairly complicated formula that is used to determine how a match scores from 0.5 star, bare minimum. You're always going to get 0.5, kind of like when you used to take a test as a kid. You got 10 points just if you knew how to spell your name right. All the way up to 5 stars, and it goes in increments of 0.5. Now, what constitutes a higher star match? I'll tell you that when Kentucky Fried Chicken tells you their chicken recipe, or Coca-Cola Classic tells you how they make Coke. It's a secret, and mainly because I don't want to get in a big debate, which it would, and also mainly because the play testing, the slight tweaks we did here and there, all four of us, Gary, John, Bob, and myself, were thrilled with it. And you may or may not like it. You may score yours, and maybe this came out to a 4 star. Maybe it came out to a 1 star. Okay, if you'd rather use yours and hand compute it, knock yourself out. But I'm telling you, you're not going to get a ton of 5 stars. And this takes a lot of stuff into account. I also don't really want to divulge it only because, or for another reason, not only, so I don't want anybody to try to manipulate it, saying, oh, I really want to get a 5 star, so if I do this, this, and this, I know I can get it higher. That's not the point of this. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to hit replay because it didn't come up during the match. So I'm going to cheat here, and I'm going to get it to come up. I'm going to pause you. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back here. Bundy he did some chops, and he's going to go for a pin here. On the pin screen, Gary's cleaned this up quite a bit. Now, I can't show you the new pin submission box, but I'll show you it on another one only because the computer's controlling both wrestlers right now, and so I don't really have any say in it. But you'll notice you probably can't see it real well, but you have start here and cancel are visible. Call for help is grayed out, done is grayed out, and get to the ropes. Now, if I was controlling DiBiase and I had an outside help strategy card, let's see if I do. I can't click it till I start this. Then the call for help box would be activated, and if he had a rope strategy, that box would be activated. But since the computer's being controlled, we'll see what happens here. But the main thing I wanted to show you, 2 things. One, the clearness of this box, how concise it is and just very organized. Second thing is here on, I want to explain this because there's some confusion, I think. Once you start the pin or submission attempt and you're controlling the wrestlers, if you click done, all it does is take a shortcut from the 1 count to the 3 count. It's not stopping the pin. It just basically, you don't get to see the pin numbers turn. It just skips to let you know if the guy was pinned or not. That's all that done does. If you don't want the pin attempt to occur, you have to click cancel right now. Once the pin attempt starts, the cancel button will get deactivated. You won't be able to use it. Then it will go the full course through. I know some people, what they do is they click start, then they click done, not wanting the pin attempt to go through. And then I've had people say, hey, I clicked done, but Bundy still pinned DiBiase. Is that a bug? No, it's because it's just a shortcut to the end. You won't see the 1, the 2, and the 3 numbers turn. It just goes start, end. If you don't want to see it, you click cancel, but for now we'll go ahead and hit start. So we get a 1, 2, 18, no pin. Now we click done because we get back to the rest of the action. Alright, so I'm going to try to get this done in 5 minutes. So, by the way, here's, you see the scoreboard as we've gone along here. DiBiase isn't done, it's only a minute old, but this will keep changing as the match continues. But right now what I want to show you is the top line menus, because these are cleaned up and they're also renamed. Remember where it said wrestle? Now it's match setup. You can start a single match, tag match, battle royal, Royal Rumble tag team, or I'm sorry, battle royal tag team, Royal Rumble, wrestler card intangible check, and then manage wrestler sets. That's where you can create your own or delete them. This is much more cleaned up. The singles and tag team are what probably 90% of the time, 95% of the time you're going to check or select, and that's when you select, then you go to select your wrestlers like we started this video at. Match details, much simpler. Defend the title was activated. Tournament DQs was activated for Ted DiBiase. Bundy did not elect it. Now, the champion will never use tourney DQ rules because he'd probably be an idiot to do it because his job's to walk out with the belt. And if you turn it on, then to me you're cheating because you're saying, I kind of want the challenger to win and I don't want the champion to get disqualified. You know, I just 100% disagree with that because the champion walks in champion, he wants to walk out, heel or face. Everybody's always going to use the DQ reduction. You can turn that off at the start of the match if you wanted to. And I guess if you're a heel champion and you really were, say it's Andre the Giant and you're really scared you're going to lose it, the title, you could turn it off. I rarely, if ever, will do that. We had trading of holds here, right here. These are the holds we traded out of. So if you want to now trade back during the game, you can just go right on there. Or, you know, it's up to you to decide when you might want to trade out. You also have no disclosure. That's default is off. Specialty match, we left this in here just in case during the match you wanted to look at something. But that, again, was on the wrestler selection screen. Match cards, Gary has cleaned this up. So here if you want to go, let's say you want to delete one. I don't know how many I have in here. It's a lot easier to delete them. A lot easier. You also look here, create match card. Little cleaner, little easier. One thing that is phenomenal. Let me show you this. This is where Gary has these little touches. So let's say my first match is black. I'm not even going to fill any of this in. So I'm going to hit save changes for the card. Now I'm going to go to event 2. Okay. So now I'm still going to do singles, but let's go down here. Let's go to the master. Okay. Point for me doing this. Let's just throw Bad News Allen there and let's throw my buddy Brian Diaz. So you hit changes to card event. You'll see it show up. Now we're going to go to 3. This one I want to show you. Singles match. Look where your file went back to. It went back to the last one you selected. And if you know, a lot of you set up a lot of different files with wrestlers. This way it will always go back to the last one. So if you're doing, say you have a Portland file, because you're doing a Portland replay, that's going to be at the bottom of the list because it's a P. So you got to scroll all the way down, and now you don't have to. Now it's going to be right there if that's the last one you use. So anyway, I just wanted to point that out. This is very, very, it's just a little bit easier and a little bit, I guess, simpler. You know, you still enter your card, your location, venue, date, attendance if you want it. I'm going to cancel this right now. Tournaments, going to love this. Create new tournament. Same deal, but your cursor will go where it was last. But check this out, folks. Bracket for 32. I'm not going to take the time to do it, but it does look very, very nice. it's if you're doing a 128-man tournament, now you only have to do 44 32-man brackets. We wanted to keep everything on one screen, A, for simplicity, and B, it's a nightmare trying to get different brackets on different screens. And so we're just, we said, well, we can do 32. It's squeezed in, but it's not terrible. And then, you got it all on one screen. So I'm going to cancel out of this one. All right, so now we're going to go into view. Pretty cool feature, blow by blow. Just gives you a quick summary of everything, and I like it much better than the full display. I rarely use full display. I only open that at the end of a match if I'm looking for something, but this makes it a lot easier. Plus you have a little summary of the match. View, save match, everything here, the view save match was there. The trade hold we talked about the show match information, and all these can be turned on or off. We'll get to that in just a second. And then we have the new BIOS that we're working on. Statistics, same thing. Wrestler ratings. This is new. We have, well, it's not new. We updated the formula to include, I want to say 2, maybe 3 more elements or ratings. And I think I deleted 1, maybe 2. And we also reweighted the value of some things. So I'll give you one hint. Your pin rating and your stamina rating are equally important. I'll just leave it at that. But you'll notice now your ratings are going to be higher than they were across the board, just because there's more numbers added in. So when you're saying, wow, this guy went from 128 to 161, everybody went up. Now, did they all go up the same degree? Of course not. So that takes care of this part of it. I think I might be running out of time on this one. Options, everything here you can turn on or off, and we're going to be going through some of these in probably the next video I do. In fact, I know I have to. There's a couple of cool things I want to show you here that are now different. And one of them is this color theme, where you can, like, I'm just going to change a color here. I'm going to go to my, kind of been into this blue navy. So I'm going to click that. Voila, that's my background now. Say I get tired of that, or football team loses to a team that wears blue and I'm not real fond of it. Maybe I just want to change it to rust, and I want to go with this. My game, I can do what I want with it. There's also all kinds of backgrounds. If you want to use that one, you can. Whole bunch of them. Your world. I feel like Bob Ross here from the old Painter Show. It's your picture, Tom. You can have a friend with a squirrel. Anyway, choose whatever you want for your backgrounds. That's kind of a cool one. I kind of forgot about that one. All the different logos there for Japan there. So you can have a lot of fun with that. I mean, you can have backgrounds you won't get tired for years. So we're going to click out of that. As I get ready to wind down, let's, I'm going to choose back to where I started. 13, accept. So that's some of the visual stuff. I think in probably the next one I might go through the options, and I will make that a brief one, just so you can get a feel for some of the things you can turn on or off. We eventually will run through a match. I mean, I got a lot of videos here. I'm looking at my notes here, and they're just all over the place. So I hope you enjoyed this. We're already at 44 minutes. Didn't realize it had gone that long, but it was fun for me. I hope you learned a little bit of the new features or the visual effects of the game. And when I review my notes, I'll probably find some I forgot, and we'll probably revisit those. But for now, I'm going to say goodbye, and I'm going to thank you again for joining me and for your continued support of Wrestling's Finest. You can always send me an email if you have questions at tommyv33@att.net. That's all lowercase, Tommy, V as in Victor, 33@att.net. Thanks again. Really appreciate you hanging out with me for 44 minutes plus. Have a great day, and I'll be back with you soon. Tom Vogel, wrestling's finest PC game. So long.